On today's show, who's going to replace Danny Boyle as the director of Bond 25? Kelly Marie Tran breaks her silence, and I got a pizza place that can get you to hell in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Movie Talk starts right now.
That's extra tomato sauce for me. Usually that's my help.
Everybody remembers that deal. 30 minutes or less. Welcome to Collider Movie Talk, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not as old as Jeff Sneider or John Rocha or myself, Mark Ellis, you may not remember that, yes, Domino's used to have a guarantee. If your pizza's not there in 30 minutes or less, it was absolutely free. And then they're like, all right, well, our drivers are being a little unsafe, so let's just knock it to like $5 off. And then they're like, you know what? We're just going to try to get it there at all. I saw Domino's now is they have this like thing where you can like write Domino's if there's a road in your community that needs a hole that's patched, and Domino's will fix it to get your pizza there safer.
What wow. Can't they do?
This is amazing.
Maybe maybe the 30 minutes or less is coming back. That's not our top story today. Far from it. Our top story involves some news that broke this morning about James Bond 25. There's been all sorts of discussion recently about who could be playing James Bond after Daniel Craig exits after this new Bond 25 movie. Is it going to be Idris Elba? Could it be Henry Golding? Is it going to be, let's just make Bond 25 first, and we have a hole that Domino's may want to help patch to get that road settled, and that's who's going to direct the damn movie. Danny Boyle is now departing the project. This according to a press release from Barbara Broccoli, Michael G. Wilson, and producer/star Daniel Craig over creative differences. Danny Boyle has decided to no longer direct Bond 25. It's interesting because there was originally a script for Bond 25 that was written by veteran Bond screenwriters Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. They worked on Spectre, Casino Royale, and Skyfall, as well as Yann Dimanche from the movie 71, which is a really good thriller. Yeah. Now, Danny Boyle and his train-spotting writer John Hodge came in. They had a new take on Bond, and that seemed to win the day, but now there's creative differences over whatever script was going to be the shooting script. So now Boyle's gone. So what do? We need to find a new director, and we need to find him quick. So the question remains, who's going to direct the movie, and what really happened behind the scenes? Jeff Sneider, I go to you first on this one, because it seems like we had Bond 25. Doesn't it seem at this point that we just want to get this movie made so we can figure out who's going to be playing James Bond going forward? We knew that Daniel Craig, some people say Daniel Craig's last turn as James Bond was in Skyfall. And then he just showed up to wear a tuxedo in Spectre, and Sam Mendes directed that one again. And now we know who's playing Bond. We just don't know who's directing him. Do you have a nomination to replace Mr. Boyle?
Boy, I mean, I think my pal Justin Kroll at Variety kind of hit this one on the head when he tweeted earlier today. Take this with a grain of salt, but a name already being floated as a replacement is Christopher McQuarrie. I mean, obviously he just knocked it out of the park with Fallout. I love that movie. It had this like gritty, realistic action where it wasn't like over the top like a Fast and Furious movie, but it was kind of grounded. I think he would do a great job. There's a few others, but I think McQuarrie would probably be my first pick.
Rocha, you and I were both talking about Black Panther director Ryan Coogler could be an interesting
You're not about
option.
to say that name, are you?
I'm not.
You're not about to say that name, are you?
Calm down,
Good.
Jeff Sneider.
Because I was ready to rebut that one specifically.
Yeah, I'm sure you were. Now calm it down. Let a man speak.
Joining us, we're talking about who could be the new Bond 25 director, and Jeff Sneider feels a little bit like what Mark Ellis feels on this desk when other people have computers out. It gets very frustrating, and Rocha, he's putting his laptop away.
I don't need it.
But he has a name that caused controversy with Jeff Sneider. Do you want to say that name?
He thought I was going to say Catherine Bigelow, but I'm not. I was actually going to say Ryan
Catherine Bigelow
Coogler.
did Point Break, and she did Hurt Locker, and I would love to see her do a Bond movie.
Absolutely. I would too. She'd be a great choice. But if I'm going, my personal route is Ryan Coogler with Idris Elba on a one-off. A one-off James Bond that could be like George Lazenby on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Why not have a little fun with it, see what you can do with it, see how much fun you'd have with it. I think it'd be great. My other choice, I think it's Michelle McLaren, who was going to do Wonder Woman first and was moved off. I think she has a shot to do something here. She just got, I think the project just went out of her periphery there. So I thought she'd be a good one, especially because if you're going to tackle these misogynist issues with James Bond, although they did a good job with this with Daniel Craig, having him be in love with Eva Green through 3 movies, I think you could still have a female direct a James Bond movie. It would be an awesome, just for the optics, I think it would be awesome. But those are my choices. And Guy Ritchie. I'd love to see Guy Ritchie have a shot at this. I enjoy his Sherlock Holmes movies. I hated King Arthur. I think he can do a great job with the James Bond movie. But I'm sad to lose Danny Boyle to speak about the original point of this, because I thought Danny was going to do a very interesting movie. You know, if you look at Sunshine, you look at Trainspotting 2, he did it with Steve Jobs. 127 Hours. So many different genres he can exist in and do great movies in. Slumdog Millionaire. And so I would have liked to have seen what extra grittiness he could have brought to a James Bond that he has done with his other movies.
Yeah, Danny Boyle seems to be a director that has a lot of range, and he can make any sort of film that he wants. Yeah. And when I initially heard the news that Danny Boyle was going to be directing a Bond 25, it struck me the same way that Guy Ritchie doing an Aladdin movie would. And I was like, wait, how does this make sense? Yeah. And whereas I'm still rectifying the Guy Ritchie doing an Aladdin movie, Danny Boyle doing Bond, I'm like, yeah, that could work. But there's also a lot of other filmmakers, I think both you gentlemen noted too, that would work very well. Christopher McQuarrie, obviously coming from an action background, working with one of the biggest stars, knowing how to showcase Tom Cruise, but not putting everybody else in the cast on the sideline, I think is a very narrow window to hit. But Michelle MacLaren is somebody too who's a hot director right now, and she also has some time on her hands because Cowboy Ninja Viking, her next project, has been pushed back indefinitely. So Michelle MacLaren is a name that you should not forget, but also Jan Dimanche, just somebody who's right there, who is already kind of working in this world. The question is not just with the director, it's whose script is he going to be or she going to be directing, Rocha? Is this going to be where they go back to the original Barbara Broccoli headed script, or do you think that they would keep trying to work within the framework of what Danny Boyle and his Trainspotting partner were?
I think we can speculate on it, Mark, but I think it all depends on what this director that they choose is going to want to do. You know, if they want to choose a new voice, they want to choose a young voice, what can they do? Do they have their own ideas for Bond? Remember, this was a Danny Boyle written script with John Hodge. They were working on it together. That director from 71, he had pitched a script or had a script that they had initially approved. I suppose you could go back to that, but to me, I think directors like to have a script that they have a lot of say in, and I think that's what is important here. We can speculate all we want, but I think it'll depend on what the director wants to do. If they want to take a shot at it, write it, do something new. But hey, Craig gets older. They're not going to make the November 2019 release date at this point, you know. So who do you find? It pushes it back. Does Daniel want to wait around? Do they have to pay him more to wait around? All these kinds of issues pop up now with this announcement.
Well, it's an interesting question, Sneider, that Rocha postulates, is that now that we have, we're down to director, we might be down to script at this point too. Do we just scrap plans entirely to have Daniel Craig return? Because he is costing the studio a lot of money. You could bring in someone like, I just mentioned Elba and Golding as two popular candidates online on social media, not necessarily the front runners. Could you do a situation like John is saying, in that we just do a one-off, just to, hey, let's just have a fun take on James Bond and stop worrying about all the continuity? Does that work in any universe, or do you think that they need Daniel Craig for one more movie?
I would totally be fine with Craig being gone. I would be fine with a reboot right now. And getting a new guy in there, and I think that you could go after any director with that, like Chris Nolan, who everyone is throwing out there on Twitter today because it's obviously the easiest, laziest choice. He's not coming in to direct Daniel Craig's swan song. Like, he wants to cast his own Bond. So if now really is the time where you're leaning in that direction, because of everything that has happened with Bond 25, then yes, I say pull the trigger, get Nolan in here, let him cast his own Bond, and thank you, Daniel. But see you later.
Can I add something here? You're criticizing everybody's choices. What are your choices, son? You bash Bigelow, you bash Nolan, you bash whatever.
Dude, Ryan Coogler, Black Panther 2. He's busy. He's busy making Black Panther 2. Michelle MacLaren has never directed a movie before, John. You want to give her a $150 million movie because she's a woman? You're insane.
Not because she's a woman, because she's a good director. And
what has she directed? She's directed a great TV show. She hasn't directed a movie yet.
Games of Thrones episodes.
You don't start her out on a Bond 25, John. You're insane.
There is
a guy like John Chu is not a bad choice. He just made Crazy Rich Asians, huge hit, $30-50 million budget. We're getting different statistics there, but John Chu made that movie look gorgeous, and Bond, is classy, and it has the great, international scenes, and there's wealth and stuff like that. John Chu would be an interesting choice.
So you tell me they were going to hang Cowboy Ninja Viking to Michelle MacLaren with Chris Pratt as a franchise movie, and you're telling me now all of a sudden
that's half the cost of a Bond movie. It's not even close to this confidence.
The studios don't have the confidence.
I think the reason why MacLaren might be an interesting decision here is because there's been plenty of filmmakers, whether they're coming straight from a TV background or from making small independent movies, to suddenly having a giant blockbuster franchise. Yeah. That's not unheard of. And the other reason why you might want to bring in somebody who has a little less filmmaking experience is because clearly Barbara Broccoli and company want a director to come in and play within a certain framework. Now, I don't know why Danny Boyle started to have script issues with the script that he was writing, unless that's the Broccoli saying, hey, we're going to let you you write whatever you want. Wait a minute, we don't like where this is going.
Right.
So all of a sudden, this has sort of a recent happenings at Lucasfilm vibe where you're going a little too far out of the sandbox, and we want to reel you in, which is probably why you float a lot of big names out there, like a Ryan Coogler, like a Christopher Nolan, and they say, well, I want to step back and wait until I can come in and reboot this franchise. Because as of right now, Daniel Craig is not only the star of the movie of Bond 25, he's a producer on the movie.
Yeah.
So he's going to be playing James Bond. And most big name directors may not want to step in and say, okay, well, now I got to work within this, and this is a one-off. So they may want to sit this one out and give an opportunity to somebody else. I do think a lot of the names you guys have bandied about are all fascinating choices, though.
But it's not about whether they're fascinating or not. It's whether they are available. That is really what it is. Now you're up against the clock. So who is available to shoot a big movie?
Do you think that they're hiring based on sticking to that November 2019 release, or do you think it gets pushed back?
That's tough to say. That depends on the script, because I think the movie is probably storyboarded out at this point. I think someone like Antoine Fuqua. What do you think about that, John?
I don't like it. I think Fuqua does with Equalizer what he can do. That's close as Bond as he's going to get, in my opinion. I love Fuqua to pieces.
It's pretty close to Bond.
Yeah, it's close to Bond, but it's a different kind of vibe. I haven't seen Fuqua direct these international, as you were saying, international scenes of this kind of stuff. I haven't seen that, and I don't know. When you look at Tears of the Sun, you look at these other films that didn't quite do as well or weren't as well received in terms of quality. That he's a guy that leaps to mind.
Tears of the Sun
James
is not.
Wan leaps to mind.
Tears of the Sun is not coming up in conversation with Antoine Fuqua at studios. They're talking about the Equalizer movies. He has Scarface coming up. He still has time to bail from Scarface if he wanted to. The other thing that I've heard about this movie is that Russians are going to be a big part of it.
Okay.
Whether it's a Russian villain, whether it's Russian Bond girls, scenes in Russia. Obviously, there's a lot in the news about Russia.
Yes.
I think it's smart for Bond to sort of capitalize on that kind of stuff. Maybe a Russian filmmaker. I don't know. There aren't that many great Russian filmmakers. Timur Bekmambetov, I think, is not the right guy for this, but he's the first one who comes to mind. I don't know. There's a lot of different directions they could go, but I think it has to do with experience and availability.
What about Fukunaga? Do you like him?
What?
No. All right.
No.
Fine.
Seems like you guys enjoy disagreeing with each other. I'm going to throw you a simple question here. Are you ready? Do you like Coke or Pepsi better, Rocha?
Pepsi.
Coke. What?
All right. Thought we could. I had a 50-50 shot, and I ruined it. I'm an unsweet iced tea man myself. Well, we move on to our next story that revolves around The Last Jedi, which there was no controversy around that movie, was there? Regardless of what you thought about the film, I think most sane people can agree that the harassment Kelly Marie Tran received online for her portrayal of the character Rose was entirely out of line, and she finally broke her silence on the goings-on when she ended up deleting her social media accounts due to the volume of harassment she was receiving on Twitter, on Instagram, and such. She spoke out. She penned a column in New York Times discussing the harassment she received and also her own experience growing up as an Asian American, feeling marginalized at every turn and feeling her heritage and her culture needed to be erased in order to truly find acceptance. I'll give you a quick quote that I'm going to read here. Their words reinforced a narrative I had heard my whole life. She's speaking about the trolls that she received after the movie had come out, that I was other, that I didn't belong, that I wasn't good enough simply because I wasn't like them. And that feeling I realize now was and is shame. A shame for the things that made me different, a shame for the culture for which I came from, and to me the most disappointing thing was that I felt it at all. And I applaud Kelly Marie Tran for writing an article in the New York Times and using this medium to get her words out, because it's completely out of line. And the unfortunate truth, whether you want to admit it or not, is that most of the quote-unquote people who were harassing Kelly Marie Tran, whether they didn't like the movie, which isn't her fault, they didn't like her character, which again isn't her fault, or they didn't like her heritage, which again isn't her fault, is that it's probably a lot of bad men out there. It's probably a lot of assholes, and I'll be honest with you, probably a lot of them have my skin color. They probably look a lot like me. They might even have a better forehead than I do, yet they're subhuman and they're trolls. And the fact that you can get on social media and hide behind a computer or a phone and do this to somebody to take them off social media, to drive them away from something that we're still experimenting with in general, is way out of line. And I know I'm the last guy to voice this, and I've been saying this all along, is that, Rocha, not only was it totally inappropriate, her treatment? But the fact that she had to go so far to delete Twitter, it's not an unknown concept to, there's been other actors and actresses, people of note, celebrities, that are saying, I'm done with social media. So do you think that this is going to be a continuing trend? Is there any way to get a franchise that has as huge a fan base, and with fan bases, we all know from our experience, there comes an underbelly to that, and it's a very trollish underbelly. Is there a way to rectify that on social media going forward, or do you recommend for more stars, especially people of color and minorities who are going to get this kind of treatment, to just say, I'm done with this?
Yeah, I wouldn't go on social media if I was these stars. There's no logical reason to do it, to be honest with you, because if you open it up every time and it's like 5,000 negative comments about your heritage, about your looks, about your weight, about your character, about what you did as an actor, all these kinds of things, how can you possibly survive that kind of barrage? You have to have the toughest skin in the world. John Boyega almost jumped off the first time he was cast. I mean, you take a great moment for these people to be cast in a film like this, and Daisy Ridley jumped off as well. She's off social media. You take these great moments from these actors and you turn it into these ugly situations that they have to deal with and go through. And they're just trying to be successful. Do you know how difficult it is to be an actor in this business, a successful actor? 2% of actors make like over $5 million doing these movies. 2% hit that star status. That tells you there's 98% suffering to want to get to that spot. And she works so hard on the improv side of things. You know, we know a couple of people that know Kelly Marie Tran personally. She worked through a lot through this LA stuff. So she worked, earned her bones. Boyega as well, Daisy Ridley, all this stuff. I guarantee you Orlando Bloom out of college wasn't getting shit for being in the Lord of the Rings movies. No, it was a white woman. It was a man of color. It was a woman of Asian heritage or color, and all this kind of stuff. To me, I just don't understand what the anger is. It's a world of make-believe. We want to make it more inclusive. We want it to reflect society. And I thought Kelly Marie Tran's words here were very powerful and very well said. And I think it's a movement that's changing. And so what can you do? You can't do anything to change the trolls. You really can't. You can try to reach them one at a time, but you really can't change them. What you do is pen something like this, start a movement, make it forward, and you have progressive people in studios who are willing to cast people of color and show the sci-fi world as it really is, or fantasy world as our world is. It isn't all white. It isn't, and it isn't all male. Our world is female and male. Our world is people of color and white. So it's all out there. So to be reflective and to have that slap back in your face, to me, that bothers me a lot. And I think a lot of what Kelly Marie Tran wrote is stuff that I've experienced and I've said to myself and I've thought about. Maybe, God, I wish I was white. I've had those thoughts when I was younger. God, I wish I wasn't as heavy as I am. God, I wish my hair was different. God, I wish all these kinds of things. I wish I didn't look the way I did. I might be more successful if I was white. There's all these things that people of color experience that white people don't quite get and don't understand. So this is where I come into the place that I support her words. I respect her saying what she needs to say as a person of color and as a woman in this situation. I don't know if this will change people's minds, but I think it's an incredibly powerful statement from her.
Yeah, Jeff, my question to you, I think we all can acknowledge that, like, you know, is somebody who is trolling someone online simply because they didn't like a movie or they didn't like their character, really for any reason, is completely out of line. Is there a way that Star Wars can help change the dialogue, regardless of how good or bad Episode 9 is? Is there a way that Star Wars, whether it's through one of their charity organizations or something like that they work with, how can we change the dialogue from just is the movie good or bad to people attacking individuals associated with the movie?
Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to end anytime soon, whether it's Star Wars or any other big fan property. It's the grim reality of being on social media these days. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. And if I was Kelly Marie Tran, I would stay off Twitter. You know, like, what is the upside of being on it? I use Twitter to promote my stories and you know, that kind of thing. But if I wasn't a reporter spreading that kind of stuff, I don't think I'd be on it. It is just this cloud of negativity, and I don't think that she needs it. She's made a name for herself in this industry. She has a fan base. What's the upside?
The upside is something that was an upside right until she became associated with the brand Star Wars, because she was on YouTube. She was making videos like this, and then you get cast into this world, and a world like YouTube is something that Christian and I from Schmoes have relied heavily on for part of our income. I am so happy that I have the brick wall wall to tell jokes behind me that can sustain me in case all this goes away, because it can all go away like that. And so if you're so adept at Twitter and Instagram and doing all these things and having fun and sharing pictures with your friends, it becomes a very dark world, and it becomes very sudden of a change when you have all these people attacking you. And look, to people, I see comments, I see some people agree. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with me, but some of these comments are just ridiculous. Mr. G movie reviews. I agree, Mark, but she could have ignored all the comments for real. For real. Have you ever gotten the level of comments she did? Is it that easy to just ignore it? It's totally not okay to say, oh, well, she could have just ignored it, okay? First of all, you're a dude, or at least your name is Mr. G. And second of all, you've never been the first woman of color to have a lead role in Star Wars. So try to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes before you say, oh, they could just ignore it. And then I see other people that are saying, oh, time to mute this until the next story. You can keep burying your head in the sand and just listen to cool stories about how Bumblebee's going to transform this Christmas. Nice. But there's a lot of things in a lot of movies, and if you're not ready to accept that movies are a reflection of our culture and movies can have a social conscience, they can be political, then you need to step back and maybe pick a different medium, because cinema is just not for you.
You tell him, Steve Dave.
It's very true. It's very true what you say. Films are supposed to reflect our society. Films at times are more progressive than our society actually is, and we find our cues from that. Sports as well. Jackie Robinson, look at these. These are the things that happen to change our society for the better. You want to mute it, hide your head in the sand, that's fine. Mr. G's movies reviews. Well, this is Mr. G's movie reviews. Let's say 5,000 people attacked every one of your YouTube videos and called you out personally by your looks, by your weight, by your acne, by your face, by everything, your reviews, insulted where you came from. What job do you work for real? What if 5,000 people showed up at job? Every time you open the door to your job, 5,000 people booed you, said terrible shit about you, about your physicality, about your appearance, about your heritage, as you were walking to your job, and then all day just kept saying stuff at you. How would you feel about that? This is a part where people have to become adults and take responsibility for these kinds of situations and work to change them. There's nothing wrong with equality. I don't know why when that became a bad word. You know what I'm saying?
Well, just a bunch of social justice warriors on this program.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's not actually anything wrong with social justice or being a warrior for the right cause. Well, we probably had a lot of SJWs on our Deadpool 2 commentary, which you can check out now. It's going up on Collider. That's actually why Rocha was like 2 minutes late to set. You weren't late, but it's like 358's pushing it. Yesterday, he was running from the other room because he was watching Deadpool, and it's the extended cuts. There's a whole lot of new stuff for the crew watching along. You guys can check that out along while you're watching it at home. And we have Collider Live shirts. You saw the top of the program from our friends at Bonfire. Check out the link to those in our vid's description, as well as all the new channels we have to offer you here in the Collider family. This is Collider Video. Subscribe right here if you want to. And if you just unsubscribe because of my diatribe, go and subscribe back. Come on. We're talking about a pizza place that leads you to hell next. You can also check out Collider Games, Collider Quick, Collider Sports, and the Wrestling Sheet. All that good stuff in the links in this vid's description. Well, I promise you at the top of the show, we're going to have a pizza place that is a gateway to hell. But before we get there, we have the Hold the Dark trailer. Hold the Dark. Boy, this is another Netflix movie. And I got to tell you, gentlemen, something. I'm seeing these trailers for these Netflix movies. And yes, I was excited when I first heard of Bright. I was excited when I saw a War Machine trailer. And I'm like, oh, Brad Pitt's coming to Netflix. This is going to be big. Netflix has had some hits critically, something like Mudbound, some like Piece of No Nation. Obviously, their documentaries do very well. But I think we're getting into a fall season, an awards season, a film festival season where Netflix is really coming to play. And this new trailer for Hold the Dark is one of the things that I will cite as a reason why. Because Netflix has showed filmmaker Jeremy Saulnier's first look at the upcoming thriller. Now, he did a movie in 2013 called Blue Ruin, and then he went up to Green Room, which a lot of you fans out there probably know. Perry Nemiroff's a huge fan. I think she even have a framed Green Room poster. Very violent movie. This is taking a different turn where you have Jeffrey Wright as a retired naturalist and wolf expert. He teams up with a young mother, played by Riley Coe, to search the wilderness for a pack of wolves that killed her young son. The woman's husband is Alexander Skarsgård. He returns from being a soldier in Iraq to the news that his son, the wolves took him, and then a series of weird, violent events and a lot of wolf howling ensues for the duration of this trailer. Jeff Sneider, you check out this trailer. Hold the Dark is premiering very soon at TIFF. It's a Netflix movie. Is this going to get award recognition? Do you think it looks good enough just from this trailer?
I think it looks really good. Yeah, I'm a big Jeremy Saulnier fan. I really like Blue Ruin, thought Green Room was great. This seems like a natural progression for him as a filmmaker, a little bit of a bigger canvas, bigger stars, Alexander Skarsgård. I think it'll be really interesting to see what Jeffrey Wright can do as a lead in this movie. He's someone who's kind of always marginalized, and they give him he's like a revered character actor, but
shows up for 10 minutes in a Bond
right,
movie.
Exactly, yeah. and then leaves and he kills it. But I like the idea of him, being like the expert who they call in and getting some more screen time. And the Wolves look like badass. I like everything about this, except the fact that I wasn't invited to see it next week.
Awesome.
There it is.
If you weren't invited to the Toronto International Film Festival, don't worry. You can check it out on Netflix September 28th. Rocha, I mean, you hear wolves, you see a snowy terrain. There's a lot of influences going on. I got a lot of Wind River vibes in this one. And it's like, and by the end of the trailer, I think I'd rather hang out with a pack of wolves than a pack of human beings. We also have Julian Black Antelope in this movie, James Badge Dale, veteran from the greatest movie of all time, 13 Hours. This film looks very intense. What do you think of the trailer?
I absolutely loved it. I thought the scope of this movie for being something that looks to be centralized and localized in a town was incredible. And you're right, Wind River vibes definitely there. Jeremy Saulnier, I'm surprised he didn't put a color in this title. I was surprised by that, considering the success he had with blue and green there. But I think this is interesting in terms of it has those vibes of a cult type thing, right? The wolves are not actually the wolves or the wolves people dressed up with those masks. Are they having human sacrifices? What's the situation here? This guy coming back from Iraq, does he have PTSD? Does he lead these guys because he's unhinged, because he's unstable from the war? Riley Keough's been, that's Elvis Presley's granddaughter for people who don't know. That's Lisa Marie Presley's daughter.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. Wow. She's Elvis Presley. She's fantastic. She was great in that, what's the one with Daniel Craig, with Escaping the Prison?
Spectre.
No, Escaping the Prison with Adam Driver. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Rock.
No.
Going for the Rock.
You know what I'm talking about? Adam Driver, Daniel Craig, Escaping the Prison.
Yeah, they had the crazy...
Logan Lucky. She was great in Logan Lucky.
Crazy NASCAR scheme.
Exactly. And the Girlfriend Experience on Star. She's great in that. So I look forward to this movie. And Jeffrey Wright, people forget, remember him as the villain in Shaft? Jeffrey Wright can do anything and everything. So putting him in this spot is really interesting. It gave me an old school White Buffalo, Charles Bronson type of vibe as well, coming in there to hunt this particular animal and all of this going through. I just like winter films, snowy films, they just do it for me because crazy stuff happens.
You like
ever since
snowy
The Shining,
movies.
I do. Ever since The Shining, anything in the snow, I just go crazy for. I love it.
All right, let's run through some good snowy thrillers. And hit Wind River.
Yeah.
Like you said, The Shining, obviously.
Yeah.
I'd throw Gremlins in there. Kingston Falls. It's snowing during Christmas time. Any other snowy thrill? Were you a big fan of The Snowman with?
No, that was a terrible one. But that was a terrible one. But the one with the Kate Beckinsale, I thought that was a really good snow movie. She was a mystery. Yeah, she was a mystery. I think where she had to solve.
Jennifer 8, baby.
Oh,
a lot of snow in that movie.
Is there a lot of snow in that?
That's right. Lance Henriksen gets killed on the staircase. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I just got such bad memories of Jennifer 8, and it has nothing to do with the movie. It's because I bring it up often. Go to Video Update, trying to rent Bram Stoker's Dracula. Jennifer 8 came out on video, I think probably the same week. They're new releases, and it's just like, we got plenty of copies of Jennifer 8. Nothing in stock with Bram Stoker's Dracula. It was like that for 8 weeks. Damn you, Video Update. I'm just kidding. I love you, and I miss you. Well, we got one more story to get to. Then we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. And without further ado, A24 released a trailer for their new horror, comedy, thriller, hell pizza movie, and that is something that I am really looking forward to. The movie's called Slice for obvious reasons and some not so obvious reasons. There's a murderous rampage happening at a local pizza place, and we got to find out who the culprit is and what the hell's going on. The movie stars Chance the Rapper and Deadpool 2's Zazie Beetz. They're a pair of pizza delivery drivers, and they find themselves as their backs are against the wall. We don't even know who the antagonist is, but we do know this from the trailer. The pizza place is actually a portal to hell. It's the gateway. You die, you go to heaven. I think you got to cross the River Styx at some point. You got to wait in line to say hi to St. Peter, see if you're on the guest list. You go to hell. You go through the pizza place, or maybe that's just one of many ways when you can go through there. Rocha, maybe Hooters are also gateways to hell. I don't know. Judging from the news yesterday, that's a distinct possibility.
The millennials
you see
don't
the
like
trailer for Slice. Got to be honest with you. There's a lot of blood in this movie. In this trailer, there's a lot of guts. Looks like you got to go to hell. I got really hungry for pizza watching this. The pie at Perfect Pizza looks almost worth the trip to the dark side.
Listen, I've had some pizzas that have sent me to hell, no lie, in the bathroom, so I will tell you the truth there. But this looks like a lot of fun, and this feels fits the vibe Zazie Beetz had in Deadpool, that same kind of humor at the expense of horror stuff or superhero stuff or gory stuff. You see that happening there. She's a great lead. But then Chance the Rapper is very funny, so I'm glad he's involved in this. A lot of good other comedic character actors we saw there. Hannibal Buress and
Paul Scheer,
who's great from The League. All of them in there. And
Scheer looks great as like a beleaguered pizza place.
He does, right? Owner. And and what's so funny here too is this has that kind of B-movie horror vibe that understands what it's making fun of and also what it's honoring. And I think it's the trailer feels like it walks the line of that. And so that makes me feel like they understand what they're doing here, and this is going to be a fun, inventive film. Hopefully. But from the trailer, it certainly gave me put a smile on my face.
A lot of clever folks in the chat room too. RNK fan art says bread sticks like the river Styx. Like what you did there, great band.
Boom.
And some sort of mythological river that I hear I should cross at some point in my afterlife. Jeff Sneider, you saw the trailer for Slice. Did you get as hungry for pie as Rocha and I, or do you have an appetite for this movie?
First of all, have you ever smelled Rocha's breath? Because that's the real gateway to hell.
Wow.
Let me tell you.
Shots.
Where's that coming from?
I thought you guys were going to be roommates by the end of the show. Does not appear that Rocha is any longer a candidate for the open position by Sneider.
That smells like Trident to me. I don't know what the problem is. Good.
Hey, can we do a Schmoedown and the winner gets to be your roommate?
Yes, I like
All right,
that.
We'll work on. I'll get with the commissioner and ask you.
I think this movie looks like fun. I think it's been a while since we've had a good werewolf comedy. That's sort of what this is, right? I mean,
you got a werewolf in there.
Mm-hmm.
You got a gateway to hell. You got funny pizza delivery hijinks. This looks like a combination of many different movies. You got Spawn.
Why aren't they showing it at Toronto though? It seems like a no-brainer for Midnight Madness. I'm just surprised that this is being held. It has been delayed over and over and over. There's still no release date in place. The poster that came out today said 2018, so I'm assuming October, because November, December would be suicide for this movie.
So you're upset at all the movies that are playing at TIFF that you don't get a chance to see, and now you're mad at this movie for not being at TIFF. Pick a side.
This guy's ridiculous. Where isn't it at TIFF? Grow up. Some things aren't going to be shown at TIFF, and you have to wait for them.
Hold the Dark's being shown at TIFF. I mean, they're just screening it next week for other people.
There you go.
For the privileged.
This does have a Midnight Madness flavor. TIFF's got a great lineup. I don't think there's any qualms about the lack of movies that are going to be shown at TIFF because they have an incredible slate. But they are showing movies like a Halloween, Predator, stuff like that are more mainstream in addition to all the award fare that they're going to have. I don't see Slice being an award contender. It is coming from a heralded studio, A24. They know their way around a horror movie. But I think this is really one of those ones that could be a surprise. Or, look, it could be a giant misfire. But I look at something like this, and I see horror comedy vibes that every so often a horror comedy can come up and really sneak it. Rocha, if they make the release date, do you think this is good Halloween? This is good Thanksgiving? Does the release date, the week, matter for the rest of this year for this flick?
I don't think it will. It's not like it would matter maybe in an extra $1 million or $2 million. This isn't a film that's going to be like make $100 million or $50 million. This is going to be a fun, small little film that's going to make whatever it can make. It's got the Visitor vibe to it as well, that kind of 80s horror vibe to it that I really thought to. So it's not going to get a wide audience. I think the people that go to see this are the people who love horrors and enjoy comedy with their horror. And I think so it doesn't matter to me when it gets released. It's going to make whatever money it's going to make.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty good counter-programming option, regardless of when it comes out.
Yeah.
Is that we go see Slice, go see the Pizza Hell movie. Well, one more quick tidbit of news to get to today before we take your live Twitter questions is that Michael Pena has been cast as the father, Dora's father, in Dora the Explorer. So that's exciting. The movie seems to be coming together pretty well. Thoughts on Michael Pena's casting? Good, bad, career?
Good for the movie, yeah. Him and Ava Longoria as the parents, I like it. They needed a little star power for this movie, I think.
A mí me gusta. So there you go.
That was an affirmative response by you. Then Rocha signs off, Sneider signs off, and we move on.
But you know what, Ellis? Dora does not rhyme with Explorer.
I was setting you up for it. I didn't know if you were going to take the shot or not.
My gosh.
Dora the Explorer.
You ever listen to any rock lyrics? They take a lot of liberties with words
Rap
that
lyrics too.
So-called rhymes. Anybody watch the VMAs last night? I saw a lot of people tweeting about the VMAs. Apparently,
Rocha and I have a life.
got a record low
Bad breath or
views, and you would not know followed from social media last night. It seemed like a lot of people were really into it. I would be minorly interested to see what Aerosmith and Post Malone did at the end of the show.
Yikes.
Have not investigated it yet, but
take it back. Take the bad breath thing.
You know what?
Take the bad breath thing back. You know it's not true.
First of all, I kissed John Rocha
That's
last
right.
night
Thank you.
because he picked up my girlfriend's soda at the movies, had a nice long sip, then put the cup back, then she had a sip, then she kissed me. It's like I'm kissing Rocha.
all right.
And you know what? It wasn't all that bad.
Thank you, sir.
Might have
Thank
to
you, sir.
inform someone in Rocha's life about that kiss.
Where's HR?
Triple hand. That was triple. What do they call that? Triple hand kissing.
I don't
That was
know.
triple hand kiss. That's what that was.
Boy, just when you think you're about to get the live Twitter questions, the show goes right down the toilet. Well, let's see if we can plunge something back up here and get it working back to normal here. I'm going to remind you guys that Collider Live, be a fun thing for you guys to sort out the kiss situation on Collider Live, premiered on Monday to pretty rave reviews. That was nice to see. Christian Harloff's running a whole weird pirate ship gang, including myself from time to time, and a bunch of other cast and crew here at Collider, as well as from other places all around the galaxy. Had Chris Weiss in today, who's a writer of Rogue One, amongst other fare. Good to see him. You guys can check that out tomorrow, 10 a.m. PST. It's every Monday through Wednesday live, 2-hour show, or you can check out the podcast afterwards on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Speaking of podcast, Movie Talk has its own podcast feed where you can not only check out this show, the Monday through Thursday episodes, you can also check out Afterthoughts, hosted by Ryan Snelling and Jay Williams, and Mailbag, hosted by Scary Perry Nemiroff, the mother of Dewey. All right, kids, time for some live Twitter questions. Let's see. It's been a very social media heavy episode, so let's see what's online here today. Who's using the hashtag Collider Movie Talk? Christopher Woodburn, our old buddy C-Dub, is up, and he said, with Black Mask being announced for the Birds of Prey movie and Mysterio for Spider-Man, who's another comic book villain that you'd like to see on the big screen that we haven't seen yet? For him, he says Carnage.
But
I've not seen Carnage on the big screen.
Yes, you have. It's Woody Harrelson in Venom. You'll see him real soon.
Haven't seen him yet.
All right, sure.
Haven't seen Carnage yet.
There is a person that jumps out with red lights flashing by with long hair. I'm just guessing.
Unconfirmed reports of Carnage.
Just letting you know. Craven, I would have said Craven, but they're doing a Craven the Hunter movie, which Jeff had an exclusive on, which was great. So that would have been my choice in the long run. I think Hush, if they could adapt Hush, Batman's friend who became a villain towards him, would be great to see. Black Mask I'm just so excited for that. Black Mask is such a great villain in the Batman universe. I'm excited to see if they get this right.
All right. Hush, also a good Deep Purple tune. Jeff Sneider, you got any comic book villains that have not made their appearance on the big screen yet?
No.
I have a feeling there's none that Snyder wants to see. All right, who's the next comic book villain that you'd like to see rebooted then?
Ooh.
The Penguin.
The Penguin. Okay.
Yeah, I do think someone like Josh Gad, or there were a couple of other people, Jonah Hill. There's one other that I'm blanking on. I think that all of them would make really interesting choices for the Penguin.
Yeah, the Penguin has been rumored to be circling this Birds of Prey movie, perhaps, maybe even in multiple films. We're also talking about Matt Reeves a couple weeks ago. Maybe he wants the Penguin.
I do not want to see that, by the way.
What?
I want to see the Penguin in Matt Reeves' Batman. I do not want to see the Penguin in Birds of Prey. I don't care about Birds of Prey.
He just said Black Mask and Birds of Prey.
Yeah, but Black Mask is.
He was talking about Penguin for Birds of Prey.
The Penguin was also rumored to be around Birds of Prey.
Okay,
but you
I don't want to see that.
Him be the primary villain in the Batman movie.
Yes.
No.
Who do you want to be?
Two-Face.
You want Two-Face?
Two-Face has never been done well. I don't care.
What?
Yeah, I didn't like the Aaron Eckhart because that was shoved into The Dark Knight, and even Nolan admitted that he just shoved it in because he didn't know if he was going to come back and do the third one. So he had a separate story all about Two-Face for the third of the trilogy, but he shoved it into Dark Knight just in case he wasn't going to come back to do the third one. And so that it felt a little forced, a little rushed. Two-Face is a fantastic, and Tommy Lee, don't even start with that Tommy Lee Jones crap. Listen, Two-Face is a great character in the Batman universe. He was best friends with Batman with Bruce Wayne for a long time. Was a lawyer, got acid thrown in his face, and then flipped to the other side. There's a darkness that you can explore with Two-Face if you get it right. And make him the main villain against Batman. And also, if you throw in the fact that they've been childhood friends growing up, there's a lot here to explore emotionally between those two if they got it right.
All right, Jonathan Peck is up next, and he says, who's the best working movie composer right now? For him, it's Michael Giacchino and Hans Zimmer. So you're taking Hans Zimmer. Any other ones pop into your head as far as the greats of composing in the modern era?
Jeff? You're not a composer guy?
I mean, I don't know. No.
And Snyder goes 0 for 2 on Twitter question.
What is going on here?
So you're taking Hans Zimmer?
I would absolutely. I love Hans Zimmer. Is it Tyler Bates, who does.
Tyler Bates,
I like Tyler Bates' music a lot, and we had
Brian Tyler's another good.
Yeah,
time.
Brian Tyler. I think we had Brian Tyler on a one-on-one, right, with Christian Harloff.
Well, I didn't have him. I mean, Christian had
Christian
it.
did. Yeah, Brian was great, and such a cool dude to talk about scores and talk about all the stuff that he's worked on, and I mean, video games, F1 series on TV, and also movies like Iron Man 3 and all those kinds of things. So just fantastic stuff.
I like Cliff Martinez. That's who I like.
You do?
Yeah, he's the guy who did Drive.
Oh yeah. Good film, good score.
Martinez.
That's right. And the computer saving the day for Jeff Sneider.
Yeah, that's right. I needed a computer to look up how to answer these questions. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, you may want to keep that computer open for the next one because Chris El Guapo strikes next, and he says, "What's your favorite movie with a color in the title? For example, Green Room."
Oh crap! That's a great question.
Yeah, it is. I have my answer currently. It might be my favorite movie of the year. Black Klansman.
Which one?
Black Klansman.
Oh, yeah.
Favorite movie, maybe contender for my favorite movie of the year so far.
Can you say Black Panther then?
You can certainly say Black Panther. I would also say Blue Valentine. It's obviously not a zany rom-com I'm going to watch on Saturday afternoon, but man, if I just want to sit and just stew and get a little depressed and emotionally moved for a couple hours, Blue Valentine's the choice. Blue Lagoon. How about that? Movie of discovery.
I can't do it. I can't. I mean, there's the Blue, White, and Red trilogy from that Polish director. I can't remember his name right now offhand, with Juliette Binoche. That's a fantastic trilogy of films. Yeah, Jeff, for God's sakes, help us out here.
What do you want from me guys?
Answers to questions.
Pink flamingos. Blue is the warmest color. I don't know. Who
Blue's
cares?
the warmest color. That's a good movie.
I don't like movies with colors in the title.
Right.
He's basically saying he doesn't like colors. Is what
my apologies to Jeff Snyder.
I just like white. White.
We go to Ricky Kennedy. Ricky Kennedy's up next, and he says, "What happens when Disney runs out of animated movies to remake as live-action films?"
They'll think of something else. That's what they do. That's Disney. I'm sure there's a lot to explore there. Maybe they'll go into Pixar live-action animated films.
I think that they'll actually close up shop and Disney will shut down.
It does beg the question, like, if you were that rich and you had like a majority shareholder at Disney or so, like, who wouldn't just sell that and just quit? Like, who wants to work that hard?
I don't know why. I mean, look around town. Why are all these 65, 75-year-old executives still clinging to their jobs? It's because they need the power. They can't just let the next generation advance through the ranks.
Well, I also think they probably love doing it. There are people who get into this business who love doing it and deal with the time constraints on their lives and deal with the demands and the sacrifices that they have to do. And yeah, that's why you see a lot of broken marriages, a lot of tough situations. It's not an easy career to have in this town.
You heard it, kids. Disney's the reason why the divorce rate is above 50%.
I'm saying executive, and it's tough. It's tough because you never know when you're going to be fired. Look what happened at Amazon, right? They just went in a whole new direction. Then they got rid of that dude. They can't. You know what? Thanks for helping us build a respectable reputation for these Oscar-nominated films. Guess what? We want to make $250 million per movie as a profit now, so we got to move you out and move someone else in. So those are those things you never know can happen as an executive, and you have your points of views. Like Jeff. Jeff's one of the most cantankerous people I know, but Jeff is very clear about his opinions on things, and he does not waver often. So he's a sample of what Hollywood is like, and therefore they go for their own. They have their own morality, their own ideas of what works and what doesn't work, and some of these executives don't adapt so easily and get caught in the crossfire.
I can only imagine right now Jeff is typing out a letter to Disney informing them of what they should do.
I'm typing out a letter to actually a manager who completely fucked me today.
Whoa!
Wow.
And I'm going to screw him back at the first chance I get.
Okay. All right. Heated letter currently being written by Jeff Sneider.
What is happening?
More on that story as it develops. I think we should go to something that, look, I tried to assuage a lot of animosity and hostility on the desk earlier by asking a simple question, Coke or Pepsi. Didn't work out that way.
Who says Pepsi, though, Mark? Come on.
I prefer Coca-Cola Classic, but I also think Diet Pepsi is better, and I think that all of them are poison. Our last question comes from Scotty. And Scotty.
Save us, Scotty.
says, how do you guys like your pizza?
Ooh.
Boy, if this opens up, if either one of y'all go RB3 on me right now.
I think we can actually come to terms on this one,
I think
John.
it's possible.
Okay, no, well, let's do it now. Let's say we're ordering a pizza.
Okay. Are we doing Pizza Hut or what are we going?
We're not doing Papa John's. Anywhere you guys want to get pizza from, we're ordering from Perfect Pizza from the movie Slice.
Okay.
I
don't want to go to hell, man.
I like cheese. I'm going to get a dipping cup of marinara on the side, so you guys don't have to worry about extra sauce unless everybody wants it. Extra sauce?
Extra sauce?
Okay.
Fine
that's
on the
fine.
side.
That's
I'm
fine.
okay on
We're
the side.
We're okay. I'll
Okay
use
on
it as
the
a dip. I like pepperoni, and I could go for another smoked meat.
Bacon.
If you guys are in. See, I don't do bacon.
Pepperoni
Can we do
and bacon.
sausage? How about sausage?
Yes.
Pepperoni and sausage. How about meats? The meats.
I can always take stuff off. I'm a picker.
Okay.
I'll do the meats. There's certain things you cannot take off of pizza. Mushrooms get sweaty. They leak their mushroom
no,
evil all
mushrooms are
over the rest of the
gross.
pizza.
Keep those away.
I like those. Black olives are good
Nope.
on a pizza? No?
Not on pizza.
No.
Oh, wow.
I'll do green peppers.
How about chicken? Would you have
I
chicken
can
on
live
a
with
pizza?
peppers.
Yeah,
Okay.
green peppers?
We got us
I can
a
live
we,
with
we
it.
got us a pepper.
Yeah.
We got us a sausage.
Yeah.
And we got us a pepperoni pizza.
Yeah. I think that works. Or chicken?
Sauce
Is chicken
on the
an
side.
issue?
But as long as we don't get like the deep crusts, like that Chicago style crusts.
We can
I
go-
like
we
it
can
a
go
little
hand
thin.
tossed.
Yeah, I like hand tossed.
What about Pizza Hut? No?
We can have Pizza Hut if you want.
Please? Pan pizza?
Although, yeah, I got to say, Pizza Hut's pan pizza is damn good.
Breadsticks are great.
The breadsticks
Okay,
are
fine.
great.
That's a concession right there.
Hey.
We've made a complete order.
Well, look
Now
at
we're
that.
talking food. Now we're
Yeah.
speaking my language,
right, that's
guys.
right.
Pizza.
You see that,
Bros.
Internet? You see everybody who was an angry commenter today? Yeah, each one of us had our little chance on the soapbox today, and we took swings at each other from time to time, but we all came together to order a delicious pie that's going to put us in an early grave. Thank you guys for joining us here on Collider Movie Talk. Make sure you guys tune in again tomorrow, 4 p.m. on the West Coast for a new episode of Collider Movie Talk, all the day's news. I want to thank my expert team of panelists, the sausage, Jeff Sneider, to the pepperoni known as John Rocha. More on their kissing tomorrow on Collider Live. I'm Mark Ellis. Until then, we'll see you next time. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.